Welcome to the Fall to Grace. This is a podcast where we hope to bring a grounded, practical approach to spirituality and mystic wisdom. I'm Cyan Niehoff.
And I'm Connor Hatton.
And today we're talking about cycles. Cycles of emotion primarily. Cycles of how willing we may or may not feel to participate in certain activities, but nonetheless, they're important to stay consistent with, regardless of how we feel. So that's what we're going to talk about. This came up because I feel grumpy. I feel like I don't want to do this right now, to be honest. And I feel like I'd rather be watching my show and enjoying my evening. And Connor said, bring it to the podcast. Tell him about it. And I said, okay. So we're talking about that. But I think this pertains to everything worthwhile. We feel like we don't want to show up for some of the time, most likely. And yet we must.
Show must go on.
The show must go on.
Good job making it to the show, Cyan.
Thank you.
Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was right on point the way you're feeling today, and the topic we had wanted to discuss. Just because of this, right? Like, just because there are a million excuses to not do everything. And there's always very few reasons to do something. And so often we choose to not do what we know we ought to be doing because we're in a bad mood and we don't feel like it. And we cave to our emotions. And it's like insidious. Like what I really liked about what you were telling me before the show was a little bit about like what you were feeling. Will you tell them what you were saying?
Sure. I'll just kind of go on a feelings rampage here, but so a little backstory about my past couple days. So our teacher, Connor and I have a teacher, and he, first of all, is instructing us to go plant-based with our diets, which is going to be good, but like for context, I've been eating high protein whole foods for the past probably like 5 months. And that's been going really well. And so, now I'm trying to like figure out a new way of eating. And also yesterday I watched that documentary on Netflix called The Plastic Detox. And I would recommend if you haven't seen it yet. And it's disgusting. Everything is trying to kill us that's around us. And I sometimes get in these moods where it's like, I try and I try and I try so hard, and yet so much is out of my control. And then I feel so angry. I feel angry at myself. I feel angry at the way the world is set up. So like today, I went out also and I bought a couple pairs of cotton shorts, and then I tried them on and they're ugly. And I'm like, is everything a lost cause? Is anything worth it? Like, why do I try it all? Like, honestly, screw it all. Everything can go to hell. Everybody can go to hell. I just feel like, does any of this make sense? The thread of thought? Like, it's like...
Yeah. No, it totally makes sense. I mean, and it, like, right, this is the idea that like some days do feel like this, right? Like some things, like sometimes it's just like everything that can go wrong will go wrong. I can't do anything right. Like we get these messages from the world around us and from ourselves that tell us that like it's just go back to sleep. Like just like don't do anything. Like why would you ever do anything anyway? And it's just so important because these are really important moments in our lives. Like every single one of these moments is this great opportunity, but we never see it that way. We always see it as like this just great justification to like not do what I need to do, or like put something off a day and they won't care, and yada, yada, yada. What if we don't put out a podcast episode this week? Like nobody's going to care, and our mind throws us all of this noise to like justify the behavior that we want. And this is like when the mind is at its most prime, like when it's just so eager to take you down and to like just take you out of the game. more or less. And so every single one of these moments is like a full-on decision point
Mhm.
of just like, am I going to do what I'm supposed to do or am I not? Right. And the more we choose to not do what we're supposed to do, the more comfortable that decision makes. It like is going forward too. And so they're important moments because whether you decide correctly or incorrectly, or you choose to do what you need to do or choose to not do what you need to do, like that has a repercussion for the next time you have this choice. It's these habit forming moments where it's like, yes, when things do get tough, I do quit. Or when things get tough, I don't quit and I continue to do the things that I'm supposed to do because I understand that my feelings are temporary
Mhm.
and I understand that this is going to pass. So I think it's a really, I think it's great fodder that you're bringing to the table today because we all have this, right? Like we all live in these moments. And we just like need this concept of practice. Like this is a great opportunity. This is a gift, right? Like this is all a perspective shift that we have. It's just like, am I going to do this thing today or am I going to put it off and not do it and then just not do it next time? And all of a sudden we won't have a podcast, Cyan, because we have made 10 consecutive decisions. That's
Right.
it. Yeah.
I do know
And this,
that. I mean, oh, keep going, please.
no, this is why dreams die and this is why podcasts die. You're like the one who told me that 10 episodes is like the threshold.
Yeah, it is crazy. Yeah, it's like 97% of podcasts fail before 10 episodes or something. And it's also why people often quit at the gym after like 3 months, because that's the point where it's like, I have put in 3 months of solid work. This is what you start thinking to yourself. 3 months of solid work, day in and day out, making decisions over and over and over to like stick with the process. But unfortunately, 3 months at the gym is not enough for most people to get much in the way of results. And so they quit, Like, this is when, thinking of things as right action becomes so important, because otherwise we get so caught up in like the reward of doing the thing. And I mean, look at our podcast. Like, honestly, yeah, I didn't want to show up today. I'd much rather be in bed watching my show, because I could say, like, we only have so many listeners, to be honest, which is lovely. I appreciate you all. But like, am I just screaming into the void? Like, is anyone out there? No, like, I know people do. I love you guys. Thank you. But, it's so easy when the fruits of your labor haven't caught up to what your ego is telling you the reward should be at this point. You know what I mean? That's when it gets
Mm-hmm.
really hard to show up. But then again, that's like when it's most important to show up. That's when it's most important to take right action. Because if you keep going after 3 months in the gym, if you keep doing that same thing that you're doing for 3 more months or 6 more months or 9 more months and make it a full year, like, you'll be a lot closer to the goal. So, but it just takes making these decisions over and over and over and over again, no matter what mood you're in. And it sucks, you know?
Yeah, no, it does suck. I mean, moods suck, but moods are temporary. I mean, moods are always temporary. My happiest moment was a moment. My most depressed moment was also a moment. And every other moment I'm somewhere in between those. And they're all fleeting. And so being able to like take this knowledge and just understand that like whatever my mind is throwing me in a given moment is just a snapshot of that moment. It has nothing to do with the beliefs that it's throwing to me, right? And it has to do with whether I buy that, right? Like there's one side of my mind that is selling me bullshit and there's another side that's just buying it. And this is my constant monologue, which is just like, I'm really tired. Like, I'm really hungry. I just changed my diet. These fucking shorts are hideous. Like, this is so awful. This will all be better another day. And
Yeah.
the other part of my mind is going, yeah, you do deserve it. Yeah. Yeah. Just put it off. Like, it's okay. And our listeners, God bless them, would forgive us immediately. for not
Yeah.
putting this out too, but it's about you and it's about me, right? Like it's
Right.
about making these decisions for ourselves. It's not about what they think. It's never
Mhm.
been about what they think. It's about who I want to be and who I'm becoming and who you are and who you are becoming.
Exactly.
So they're linchpin moments, linchpins.
Yes. Yes.
But yeah, like I mean, this just builds on a few of the things that we've been talking about over the past couple weeks, which is just trying to gain a sense of our own thinking, right? And being able to create a little space between ourselves and our mind. Like all of these negative emotions and all of the thoughts that come with those negative emotions are just the mind, like trying to give up and trying to get you to lay down and do nothing and just quit. Um, and this happens at work. This happens in our relationships. This happens with our friends. Like it just happens all the time. I don't want to walk the dog. I don't want to, whatever it is. And the more we cave to those things, the more we are giving ourselves permission to cave all the time.
Mhm.
And then we wake up in 10 years and we go, I haven't done anything with myself. I haven't done anything with my life. Why is that? Like, and we can't trace it back to all these little moments where we've made those decisions. Like it is so important that we recognize these moments and that we honor them and then
Mhm.
that we do take the proper action because that's the stuff of habits. That's how we build a habit and make the right decision consistently. So I think it's terrific.
It is. It's important. Um, I love that thing that you always see like gymfluencers post this. They say something along the lines of both options are hard. So you have to choose your hard. Is your hard counting your macros and showing up to the gym when you don't want to, or is your hard living in a body that you're not physically or emotionally comfortable in? Like they're both hard. So you have to choose. And for me, I've been doing higher self meditations, and I think it's very important whether or not you do the meditation component of it, I'm not sure, but to kind of get clear on who your higher self is, what they look like, what they eat, what actions they take, where do they live, like just really connecting on a somewhat regular basis with your higher self, and then taking actions to merge your current self and your highest self. And it is truly uncomfortable to not live in alignment with your higher self. Like it is. It sucks. We've talked about this, because Connor was an athlete in school. I was not. But Connor was, and we were talking about athleticism. Do you remember when we were talking about like the kind of feeling of dysphoria that comes when, your actual athletic ability versus the athletic ability in your head like don't kind of align? Like I don't want to take that from you, but that's like exactly kind of what we're talking about.
I don't think I remember that conversation.
Okay.
You can have it.
Well, okay, I'll have it. Sorry, you're gonna be my example, but we were talking about, him playing soccer in school and him wanting to have some sort of physical discipline now as an adult, and there being a little fear and ego wrapped up in it because what if you suck at sport? You know what I mean? Like there's like a widening gap between who you think you are slash want to be and who you actually maybe are. No offense in this moment. I'm not sure. Maybe you're amazing at sports still, but like it's uncomfortable to have a gap between us and the version of us that we want to be. And I don't even mean in an egoic way. I mean more in like because our highest self probably has very little ego actually. Almost the egoic thing is not doing something because we're scared of that gap, you know? Like staying stuck because we're so scared of taking right action to get us to the higher self. That's actually more egoic in my mind than the alternative. But yeah, I think it's very valuable.
I do too. Just to address the allegations head on, I I bowled a 220 yesterday. So I think I'm still a pretty stellar athlete for the record.
I'm
Um,
sure. Yep.
yeah, yeah. But no, but what's more ridiculous about that example is that I have this like notion of who I was and what I should be able to do. right? Like that guy is so far gone. That guy is 20 years dead, and I'm still kind of living there, right? And I'm looking to the past. Like the real disconnect is like what I think I should be and what I am now, and just trying to skate over the work that becomes
Yeah.
that comes between those. And we do this a lot. And like they say this about like quitting smoking cigarettes, is that like you're never supposed to tell somebody that you want to quit smoking cigarettes and that you're going to try to quit smoking cigarettes, because you get the dopamine rush of them being like, that's so great, like I'm so proud of you, you're doing great, and you get all of the constant like positive feedback without doing any of the work. It's the same thing with like going to the gym. It's just like, I think I'm going to start going to the gym, and I'm going to do all this stuff, and I've got a workout plan, and I sat down with ChatGPT and we mapped out our macros, and I went to the, like, you know, you just like try to sell the work short. But when we're talking about doing the work, like the work is hard, and it's not hard initially when you're inspired. It's not hard when it's going well. It's hard when it's going poorly. It's hard when you don't feel like doing it. And that's what defines it. And that's why it's called work. But we always are opting for pleasure. Like this is just so ingrained in us culturally, even right now in this moment, is just that like feedback and gratification are constant. And anything less than constant is far too slow. So every time we make these decisions, we're disciplining our mind little by little to understand that like the things that I want in life are going to take some work, right? I mean, we are slowly moving towards a society. It's like straight out of Wall-E, right? We're all like sitting in the wheelchairs watching TV all the time.
Yeah.
Like if you don't want to be that, you have to make some decisions to not be that. And I'll talk about this. Well, okay. It's also threading a line, right? Like it's so many things on the spiritual path are knife's edges, and you're towing knife's edges. And that's why it's so important, because it's also not like this fuck your feelings, like just get up and do it kind of thing. It's more about honoring the entire experience. And it's about saying like, yes, this is really hard. I'm not going to discard this part of me that like doesn't want to do this. I'm going to speak directly to that part of me that doesn't want to do this. And I'm going to invite that part of me that doesn't want to do this to change. Like I can burn through this and get a drill sergeant who makes me do everything, or I can work on this myself and like create a sustainable lifestyle and a sustainable set of habits. So the consistency aspect of this is just about that. It's about having a discipline enough to be able to do something consistently over time, regardless of if you get positive or negative feedback. And that opens you up to passion, if you ask me, right? Like I enjoy doing this podcast, right? I am not very concerned about if people like it or dislike it, because I just want to disciplinedly do this.
4-star rating, by the way. We got our first.
Oh my God.
We got our first non-5-star rating. Shout out to you.
Great. Awesome. Yeah, perfect. But like, this is what I mean. Like, I'm not doing it for that. Right. And too often right now we're doing it for that. We're doing it for the gratification. We're doing it just to have people validate our own experience. Like it's really hard to live in such a way that I need other people to validate my experience. And I did this for a number of years, where I was just looking around and just being like, am I doing it right? Like just trying to like look people in the eye and just see if they would say like, you're doing great. Like I was just waiting for somebody to tell me you're doing great. And I slowly realized that that's just not how it works. And that if I want to do something great, like it has to be great in my mind. There's some great like quotes about this, which is just like, you know, the world doesn't need what you think it needs. The world needs what you're passionate about. Right. And that's why you have that passion, is because the world needs it. And so your passion isn't going to necessarily make sense to other people. The things that you want to be disciplined about aren't going to make sense to other people. It's not even going to be something that your mind is going to let you have very easily. And so we just have to meet these moments well, or else we're doomed. We are going to be sitting in wheelchairs watching TV,
Yeah.
scooting around the space station.
That's funny. That was actually going to be another point I wanted to make. Another reason it's so important to connect with your highest self, I think, is because it's so important to put hard work into things, but it's not important to put hard work into everything. So I think like when you begin to connect with your highest self, you can see what your trade or your passion or what lights you up. You can see what that is. And like for me, I think I'm a hard worker, okay? I know I'm type B, so whatever, don't make fun of me. But, like, I don't care about I'll probably not have, like, a traditional career path, like, let's be real. Um, because I'm not driven in that way, and many people aren't driven in that way. And yet I'll put a lot of hard work into things that I care about, and that's been proven. And so if you connect with your higher self and you realize that you're passionate about basket weaving, like then fuck the rest. Like focus on basket weaving and do it like to the best of your ability and really put your heart and soul into it, I think it's important, but that's another thing that we can kind of untangle ourselves from when we start to tune in to our own desires is what society wants us to do. So that leaves us more opportunity, I think. Makes it more
I
fun.
think I mean, like a lot of us, we got to make money. Like, I mean, like, okay. So just getting into the idea of like your labor, right? Like,
Yeah.
and what it means. What you're
A lot
talking
of us,
about is
not
like
me, but yeah, sure.
most of us work from the sphere of death. Like,
Yes.
this is what we're channeling. Like when we go to our jobs, it's just like, if I don't go to this job, then I lose this job, then I'm not going to have a paycheck, then I'm going to starve and be kicked out of my house, and then I'm going to suffer, and then I'm going to die. And so most of us are working out of a place of fear, right? And we do very little to work towards anything. We're running from death rather than running towards something fruitful. So when we do have a passion and we do find a way to channel that, like it's a totally different game. Because now I'm not doing something and putting my energy into something because I need it to survive. I'm doing it because I really want to. And I'm doing it because I want to see what can happen. And I'm playing the game like I'm actually in life, right? When we're just working for somebody and just doing these boring jobs and things, like we're just doing what they want. We're working towards their dreams. And that's really painful for us. It's not a horrible thing. Like, it's not bad that we need paychecks, and it's not bad that we need money to live and we have to work for that money and stuff. But it can't be the only use of our labor because that's far too despairing for me, right? Like, I did that for a long time too, where I was just kind of doing the job and the rest was leisure. And I just hated work so much. And I just had such a negative connotation about effort and energy and time spent because it was just for somebody else. So when I start to do something for me, like invest in my body or invest in my spiritual growth or whatever it is, like I'm working towards something. Like I'm seeing what life can give me rather than like, you're making me do this life. And it's a different game. I'm engaging on a different plane of existence. And that's really powerful. But yeah, most of us have to work, and that's okay.
Saying that, I'm not saying we don't. I'm saying it's important to like. Sure, we all have to work, but we don't have to buy into the lie that sold us that working equates to our value. That's what I was saying. That's an
Yeah,
internal
no,
shift.
definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. Karl Marx called this the alienation from self and the alienation from species being. And that's a powerful idea.
Yeah.
It's not that like people don't want to work either. Like
Of
so
course.
often this
Yeah.
mental battle shows up as laziness. Like it just makes us feel lazy and it makes us feel worthless. But more than that, it's like a complex structure of systems that is keeping us from being able to enjoy anything that we've worked on. Right? Like if I'm working for somebody, like I don't ever see the end product. I don't ever get to see somebody with the product using it. I've just been like a cog in the machine, and that's fully unrewarding. So when we have this, we have a chance to do something that we actually get to see the rewards of. That's what Karl Marx knew about people. He was a
Yeah.
he was a he was a personal philosopher. Was just like, hey, it wasn't like we need to build communism. It was like people are going to fall into misery and depression if they can't see the fruit of their labor. And that's absolutely true. And so many of us do it.
Absolutely. That's why I gave the example of basket weaving. We wanna see the fruits of our labor. It's so important. It's so valuable. So valuable for mental health. So valuable to and cross your threshold of discomfort a little bit when you identify what it is that you want to do, you know? If it is the gym, push past the 3-month mark. Like be brave, see what's on the other side. Because when you are not alienated from your labor, when you can see why your labor is so valuable, it like lights you up, it lights your brain up. It's so important, you know?
Absolutely. You know, the other thing I wanted to talk about on this was acknowledging the cycles. This is something that we also don't do a lot. And this is something I don't do a lot, but like when I'm in a good mood, I have this tendency to treat it as like, oh, this is who I am. This is how I feel. This is how I should feel. And everything other than this is terrible. And like, I don't recognize that that's also part of the cycle. I'm just at the top of the cycle and that I will likely come down. And I am all of those things. I'm not just the good and I'm not just the bad. And these cycles don't necessarily happen like because of me. I'm not like always in a bad mood because of something that's controllable in my life. But I do have the ability to recognize that, like, hey, there's just things changing around and there's shifting energy and people are acting differently and all of these things to where I can kind of understand that, like, it's not real, right? Like, this is also a temporary phase of things. When we are in the moment, we tend to treat it as the only real thing, but that leaves out every other possibility that there could possibly be. And so it's about seeing these cycles. And I think like, you know, like we have the cycles in the seasons, right? And there's very clearly like times to do things and times to rest in our winter and summer kind of split. It's like the days are longer in summer. We want to do more. There's more yin time or more yang time. Whereas the winter is more about yin and things like that. And resting and taking care of ourselves. So we can see these cycles, but it's important to recognize that our brains go through these cycles too. Like it's not just happening in the seasons. Like we have seasons of life, we have seasons of day. Like you can have a good morning and a bad afternoon, and we just keep moving forward always. And it's always about what are you doing in those moments when you are confronted with these decisions? Are you succumbing to the feeling, or are you moving past that and recognizing it for what it is, which is nothing? Um, so, you know, I think that it's important to honor these cycles more or less. Like it's important to recognize their existence because if we don't, then we just are slaves to that very moment. If we can't view it as part of a cycle that we will get out of, then like that's when a depressing mood turns into depression,
Mhm.
right? I can be depressed in a moment, but when my mind takes hold of that moment and it starts saying, yeah, I never do anything right. I'll always be worthless. Nobody will ever love me. This is when I'm alchemizing that moment and I'm turning it into an extremely long period of depression. Like this has grave implications if I'm not with it and I'm not on top of my mind and trying to understand what it's doing. I also have the option to say, I feel very depressed right now, right? I feel worthless right now. It doesn't mean I'm going to be worthless forever. It's important that we keep these time frames in our self-talk because that right now is the difference between a depressing day and a depressing month.
Yeah. Beautiful. Well, it's a good place to end it. You guys, we don't know if we're gonna do weekly or every other week. We're not sure, but
Cyan
keep an
is
eye
making
out.
this decision right now with no talk.
We haven't discussed it really, but
But Cyan is in a
unilaterally.
mood. And yeah, and next week she's going to be all about it. Like, it's just what it is. Like, come on.
Come on. Yeah, but thank you for listening. Please rate and review wherever you are listening. Find us on TikTok and Instagram at The Faulty Grace, and leave us a comment and leave us a question. We'll answer them. We'd love to answer them. So
Love you guys so
that's
much. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for making the hard decisions. The world needs you to make
Yes.
those decisions.
Absolutely.
We'll
Okay.
see you next time.
See you next time. Bye.
Bye.